All right, so all the counting is done, and we asked you to write a whole bunch of numbers in your notes. So we'd like you to take those numbers, get your notes out, and we'd like you to take those numbers and let's place them in this spreadsheet. So if you'd go open up the spreadsheet named C&J Manufacturing Statistics Student Template and go to the first tab. Notice there are multiple tabs in this Excel spreadsheet. We're going to use Excel for this. That's what engineers will use in industry, and we're going to use it here to analyze a little bit of data for us. So really simply, the first page, all we're going to do, the first part of this activity is put your guesses in this top section up here. So what we need you to do is guess at the number of M&Ms in the small bag. Put your total down here, and you know how many ounces it is because it tells you on the bag. And in these boxes, just put the number of M&Ms. Then the large bag, if you don't have the large family size bag, just watch the video, use the numbers from that video. Put the total in here and guess. Just guess how many there are compared for how many ounces here to how many ounces here. What numbers you're going to get, what numbers you're going to get. It doesn't really matter. Just take some guesses. All right, estimate. Then what you're going to do after you watch the video, or if you have your own 1.69 ounce bag or your own 19.2 ounce bag, then you can put your data in these boxes. All right, that's totally up to you. You can use your M&Ms if you have a bag. If you don't, watch the video, use the counts from the video, and then you're all set. Once you answer those questions, once you fill those boxes in, go and answer these three questions, right? How close were your guesses to reality? That's going to be an interesting one. Secondly, compare the number of each color in the small bag with the big bag. Describe your comparison. What do you see in the above data? That might take a little bit of time. It might take a little bit of math. How do the yellow ones in this bag compare to the number of yellow ones in this bag, etc.? That's what that question asks. Then put your data from the small bag. Let's fix that while I'm here. Put your data from the small bag above into the sheet labeled colors in the column labeled your data. Oof, glad I caught that too. Your data. So that's on this sheet. So you're just going to transfer, and I'll give bonus points for going beyond. If anybody can make the numbers appear from here on this sheet automatically in these boxes. You can look it up online. You can finagle around a little bit, but I think you'll be able to figure it out. Or you can just type in your data here and figure out what the total is down here. Let's say my totals, I'm going to steal Tim's data, and I'm going to say my totals are 11, 7, 12, 2, 12, and 10. And I need the total here. I could do the math on a calculator, or I could use Excel the way it's supposed to be used, and I could select the boxes that I want to add up, include the box where I want the answer, and come up here to sum. And auto sum, this function up here, will automatically add those numbers together. So let's click on it, and boom, it put a 54 in there. So I'm going to Control B, make it bold. So there's my data. What I've done is I've taken data from 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 bags from the last time I taught DDP. This is directly from, I'm sorry, the last time I taught POE. I took this information from my POE class, put it in here so that we have some numbers to play with. Because here's what happens next. Once we have all these, we want to compare our small bag to everybody else's small bag. And we take a look, the totals, it's uncanny how close they are. Oh, whoa, what happened here? It appears we've got something wrong with Johnny's data. Johnny's data seems to be all out of whack. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. So let's do something over here though first. Notice we have to have the mean, median, and the mode. You can go to your definition sheet and you can go to the activity and you can get the definitions of what those are. But everybody knows that mean is really just the average. So if I want in this box the average of what my whole class got for yellow, all I have to do is click in the box. Actually, I'm going to select just like I did the auto sum, except I'm going to go vertically. And I'm going to say, come up to my auto sum. Instead of auto sum, I'm going to choose average. And that gives me the average in that box. What I can do now is use the fill down command and say fill down. And what that'll do is that will do the same math for every single one of these rows all the way down. And I should have picked one more, and that's the fill down command. I can do it with just one box by saying fill down. And so the average number of candies per bag was 55.5. And we've got the average here too. So for median, it's kind of the same idea. I'm going to show you the hard way to do this. For median, we want to come up here and we want to say more functions, and you can just type in median and find the function that you want. There it is right there. And I'm going to say OK. And if you notice, I said equal sign median. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the numbers that I want to use. It ends up in this box, and I can say OK. That's now my median. And then for mode, I can do the same thing. Choose more functions, find mode, select mode, say OK. And again, I want this set of data right here. And I say OK. And now I've got my mode. I've got my mean and my mode, my mean, median, and mode. I can also fill down on this data. Oops. Fill down on this data. Oh, forgot a box. I can go back and, if I don't right click and I left click instead, fill in this box by using fill. Notice though too, you can go down, right, up, left. I want to fill down. So I've got all my information. What I've done in this box is I've done the standard deviation, and if you look up here, it shows you your formula bar. It shows you where the formula, what the formula is that it's using. So I could very easily just take this and say fill down. I've given you that already because there's a couple different standard deviations. We'll use the one that I've got in there. But again, if you click on any of these boxes, you can actually see the formula in the formula bar up here. That goes for any of these boxes. All right. So the next thing that we need to figure out is standard deviation, right? We've let the software figure that out for us. But now what I have to do is I want to go down and I want to check in all my data in the boxes down below. I want to make sure that I've got my mean number for the yellow candies in this box right here. So one thing I could do is I could type the number in there, or I could make whatever number appears in this box appear in this box, and that's easy to do. If I click on this box and I say I want that box to be equal to this right here, and then say enter, whatever ends up in this box ends up in this box. It's that easy. Now what we have to do is we have to take the first sigma, second sigma, and 3 sigma. And what's sigma stand for? Sigma stands for standard deviation. So we want to take this average, this mean, and add a single standard deviation to it. Then add another standard deviation and another. Okay? So notice this number in this box has to be this number in this box, and it's not. So if I click on this box and I see, I see that that box has to be equal to this plus the standard deviation, which is this. So it tells me it's equal to B22, let's put the mean here, 10.7 7. See, I didn't even get that straight in my own Excel spreadsheet. So if I put my number in that box, it automatically calculates the mean plus 1 standard deviation plus 2, and if I click on the box, notice this box right here says B22, which is the mean, plus 1 standard deviation. When I click on this box, look at the formula I typed in. I typed that formula in myself. I just said 2 times, in parentheses, the standard deviation plus the mean. And then what I did on the other end was mean minus 1. So I subtracted 1 standard deviation, subtracted 2, and subtracted 3. Now here's where the hard part comes in. You have to go to your data and look at all your data, and you have to see how many of these numbers fall into the frequency of which these numbers fall into these categories. All right, so I'm just going to type a 10.7 here. 9, 10 pieces of data, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got all my data, all right? I've got 2 9s, 2 10s, 2 11s, 1 12, and 2 13s, all right? Let's take a look. How do they fall into my chart? Do I have any that are greater than 14? The answer is no, so I've got 0. Are there any that are between 11.8 and 13? If you go high on all of them. If you go low on all of them. Okay? And so those are my frequencies. So how many times did I get a number greater than 13.01? And the answer is 0. How many times did I get a number less than 7.2? 0. How many times? That's what frequency stands for. Okay? So now that I've got all that data in there, I can very easily make a histogram out of that information. So let's get rid of this. By clearing the contents of those cells. And let's make a graph. And this graph I'm going to make this graph with frequency in this column. So let's make this simple. I'm going to copy this column, put it over here. I'm going to copy this column and put it over here, because what I can do now is say, let's go to Insert and pick a chart. And I'm going to pick a bar chart. It can be 3D, it can be fancy. Let's do a bar chart. So before we do that, let's pick my data, go to the bar chart, and make it look like that. So all of a sudden, I've got my histogram. And I can see what my histogram does. Your histogram may look different. That's okay. Don't worry about it. All you got to do is understand that you need your mean, median, and mode, and standard deviation. Your mean goes in this box right here. And then mean plus 1 sigma, mean minus 1 sigma, and those are standard deviations. It just adds or subtracts the standard deviation in the box up here. How many times did your M&Ms, your M&M count from this column, fall into these categories? Put the numbers in here. And then I copied and pasted these two over here to come up with my chart. What I want you to do is I want you to figure out, since this is the yellow candy, you can go in and edit the chart title and type in yellow candy, and then actually make this yellow, and then you'll have a yellow candy chart. The next step, after you get the yellow candy done, I would like you to do the same for red, blue, brown, green, and orange. And there will be some questions down here for you to answer after that. All right. If you have any questions, please let us know.